Today's show is fantastic if you want to challenge yourself a little bit more as a beginner who has some RTS background, or for anyone who is in Gold League or higher that wants a great opening that they can use in every single matchup with just a few small adjustments here and there to adjust to the race they're playing against. It can work right through to GM in all three matchups. However, it does require you to be a little bit tighter with your build order to get the most out of the opening. This is a really big part of Terran play in general, is having tight build orders and hard to execute openings that, once you get it down, give you a really big boost into the mid game. I think good build execution is so strong and vital to Terran play, and it pushes you to learn that. But it also puts you in a position where very early on you have Medivac, Stim, and a lot of Marines. And this puts you in a position where learning good bio control, good Medivac, and drop control makes you such a more dangerous player with this style. So the more you improve those, the more you're going to get out of it. Alright, time to go up against my nemesis, the AI. The deadly piece of shit that keeps stealing all of our jobs, man. I used to be a forklift. Now, an artificial AI forklift does my job for me. I didn't even know what I'm talking about, guys. Just mind is straying a little bit there. Of course, remember, first SCV out of that command center always rallies to the ramp and builds your depot. Nice, easy, simple start there. Very straightforward. And it's going to build a barracks as soon as it's done there. And you're going to leave space for a reactor. That's going to be like right there. Okay? Just like that. Beautiful. You go straight for a gas after your barracks. So it's 16 racks, 16 gas. And then we're going to rally our 17th SCV across the map to scout. So we can already rally that SCV over to our opponent's base. Got my camera keys nicely set up, of course. Immediately need to set that rally point back if we're going to do it that way. Put guys on gas. We can hotkey this SCV and say, scout the opponent, and then come back and mine from the natural. The reason I like to mine from the natural, random tidbit while we've got a moment of downtime, is because then it won't show up as being an extra worker mining in my main and throw off my perception of how many workers there are when it's actually just trying to mine the main minerals from the other side of the map. So Orbital plus Reaper on 19 supply guys. Now I should have already queued up this SCV to do this from the barracks. Mine 5 minerals and then build a command center. And you'll see it mines 5 minerals and then it chills for like 2 or 3 seconds and it's like, oh cool, I've got money for a command center. So you can really see this is a build which people have figured out how to time it out just right. You know, it's not like I invented this or anything like that. This is one of the most popular builds in Legacy of the Void. Next up, you want to go for 21 supply second barracks. Alright, and you want to go for a reactor as soon as that Reaper's out. You know, if there's a tiny bit of downtime here or there on some of your stuff, it's not a big deal. Usually I rally that SCV over here, by the way, because 22 supply, you need to get a depot. And right after that depot goes down, you want to take your second gas. Now, in terms of your Reaper, you don't want to stare at it too much, especially when you're first learning the build. It'll kind of distract you from some of the more important things to do. So I'm going to look at it a little bit here, and then I'm going to go, you know what? I got to build a factory. So as soon as you get 150 minerals, 100 gas spare, and this should be before your second barracks finishes, you put down that factory. Reaper's just chilling. And we're going to build a tech lab. So of course, marine production non-stop. You can poke around with your Reaper in between spending your money if you want. It's not all that important. 16 workers in the main, and 3 on each gas, so I can rally away. Keep building these Marines. Ooh, I'm a little bit sloppy on my Marine production this game, guys. Keep those barracks rolling. This is one of the easiest mistakes to make. And we want to build a starport, and it has to be down before 3 minutes 20. If it's down before 3 minutes 20, then we're doing good. And here, you're going to kind of have a little bit of a battle between SCV production and Marine production. So it's not the end of the world if you lose like a second or two here on the SCVs, a second or here two on the Marines. But unlike later in the game where it's okay to queue up more units, you need to really just only queue up the units that are building at that moment. There should never be extra units queued during this early stage of the build. And that's why this is an intermediate build order, guys. This is why I don't recommend this for players until they're at Gold League. because it does have a little bit less room for error. From about 35 supply onwards, you want to start building these depots down here. The technical optimum one, you'll see like Mario and all the pro gamers do, is like 38 supply. Now you want to swap over the factory and the starport, of course. And you need to immediately start to Medivacs. Now it's not important to build out of that factory straight away. It is important to keep building depots, keep building SCVs, keep building Marines. And what you're going to find is you want to be moving out no later than 5 minutes. In fact, your aspirational goal should be to leaving your base, 4 minutes 40, something like that, with the 16 Marines and the Medivacs. You can see I'm not actually all that well practiced with this build. I'm a few seconds late. Of course, I'm talking and stuff as well, but basically you want to be like, oh, get in, get across that map. And that's like, bam! That's like the initial opening. That is it, guys. That is what you want to do with your opening. From here, you can branch off however the hell you want. So there's going to be lots of different options from here onwards, but that is your opening. Alright, so where do you go after this? Remember, it is just an opening, guys, but you can basically do whatever the hell you want. So just to cover what is the standard things that follow this up, just in case anyone doesn't have that knowledge, is, well, basically the next core things that are core in any bio build-up is, well, you're going to start combat shields. This is standard. You can keep building Medivacs, you can keep building Marines, and you can, put on a lot of drop pressure. But what comes next? The important tools are the 3rd command center, the double engineering bay, and your next 3 barracks. And these are very important because this is what gives you your full 2 base production and your 3rd base, which once it's saturated allows you to add on extra factories, extra starports, or go right on up to 8 or 9 barracks. So the 3 extra barracks, the double engineering bay, and the 3rd command center, these are your options. And like I said, I don't want to tell you what to do after this, but the main choices you have is what order do you go for these. The more economic is to go straight for the 3rd command center. Often then adding the upgrades after that. Some people really love upgrades and just unit efficiency, so they'll go double engineering bay and then the 3rd command center. Sometimes people will say, I just want to go all in, no upgrades, no 3rd command center, and they just go for the next 3 barracks first, only adding the command centers and the engineering bays if their attack doesn't quite manage to kill their opponent, or maybe as they're pushing across with their attack, but they really want to do damage. So these are your options. The more aggressive option is to get the barracks first, and the more economic and upgrade-focused ones involve faster 3rd command centers and E-bays. Of course, one thing which we do have to talk about quickly, the most common thing that you'll see a lot of the time against Protoss players, is an Oracle flying into your base. So if you're doing this against Protoss, let's quickly talk about that. Your opponent is going to potentially come in with an Oracle, so early on, your very first Marines, you need to kind of keep them all together. And you want to keep them not too far from that main mineral line. You can even keep them in it if you want. Personally, I would like to keep them about here. So if I see an Oracle coming in, I can grab my Marines and I can go, get out of here, Oracle. And as long as you've got about 6 Marines together, you can make mincemeat out of an Oracle by just moving towards it. But if an Oracle hits your natural, you might need to grab your SCVs. That early on, it'll only be a few SCVs and pull them away. And, your Marines will try to get down there to defend that Oracle, and you will maybe lose a couple of SCVs, but it shouldn't be the end of the world. And this is very important. So just Marine placement and making sure you try to group up your Marines, and then a little bit after that first Oracle can come in, you'll split your Marines once you've got about 12 Marines into both mineral lines, and that can work out very nicely to stop that. Alright, so the great thing about the 2-on-1 is it kind of forces you to learn how to use bio, learn how to use medevacs, learn how to micro and get the most out of this composition. That's what's really cool about this opening. It gets you stim, medevacs, and Marines in good numbers pretty early on. And then it kind of relies on you making something happen with those. You don't necessarily need to kill your opponent, but you need to learn how to pressure, how to not just lose all your units, how to, pick up and get on out of there. So we're going to start out looking at the very most basic thing of micro, which is splitting. And this is something, if you guys really want the details of how to get better micro, how to improve at it, go check out daily number 17, how to get better micro. I'm not really going to focus on this too much, but I do just want to say, splitting, it's just box click, box click, box click. But this is mostly important later on in the game. It's not as important in those earlier stages. So what's more important is learning how to pick up drops, how to split them off, how to save your units from those hotspots. So let's stop looking at me just doing the, actually, let's hug the banelings. Hug the banelings. And let's just go into looking at some more important things. Okay, so onto the more important stuff. Loading up Medivacs. I see way too many people doing this. Oh yeah, let's get in there, get in there. Oh my god, this was so inefficient. What the hell did I just do, guys? That was gross. Now, unfortunately, a little bit of a bug in the map I'm in right now. So you can see the Medivacs were kind of refusing to unload there. It's just freaking out a little bit, man. The map's just freaking out. Instead, all you need to do is have your whole army hotkeyed. You can be doing something else, and you can go double tap to your army. Right click, right click, right click, right click. Oh, all the Medivacs are full. Isn't that beautiful? So very easy to load up Medivacs, guys. It's really not that hard. You just need to select the units and load them up. However, sometimes you do need to manually control those Medivacs. When you're in a hot spot, when you need to do a hot pickup, you need to do things a little bit differently because you can end up in a bad situation due to the way Medivacs will decelerate. So what happens with what we were doing there, when you've got the Medivacs and the Marine selected and you click, both the Medivac and the Marine fly to each other. However, you'll notice the Medivac slows down before it gets to the Marine. It says, hey, you're getting close to me. You know what? I'm going to start decelerating. Let's save a little bit of fuel. I don't know. Apparently, petrol prices are pretty expensive up in the Caprillo sector because Medivac pilots, you see that, it makes the Marine walk the last little bit to it. You lazy piece of shit. So, sometimes this isn't good enough. Why would that not be good enough? Let's give an example. I don't know, when there's a whole bunch of Banelings and Zerglings coming at you and you're like, oh yeah, get in there. And the Medivac's like, I was just going to stop. Why didn't you walk the rest of the way to me? It's like, come on, man. So this is why when you are in these hot spots where there's crazy stuff happening, like right now, and there's a whole bunch of Banelings coming, what you want to do is you want to control click on those Medivacs, move them over the Marines, and only then pick them up. It's not perfect, but it's a hell of a lot better than waiting for those Medivacs. I can guarantee you that much. Take that, Banelings, we'll drop on top of you. Okay, so that's the first couple of points. What now? What about how the hell do you split off drops and control them and select them and that sort of stuff? Okay, cool. Well, if you split off a drop, it's very important to click it and tell it to go do other stuff, go do its drop, and put it on a separate hotkey. However, sometimes you can't click on it. If it's in the middle of a whole bunch of Medivacs, it can be hard to kind of see the one that has units in it. You're like, oh man, I can't click on it. So if you find that a struggle, just select your Medivacs, tell them all to drop. And you'll notice only the Medivac that has Marines in it will actually get the order. Now notice, guys, really important. So that's a cool little tidbit, but every time you split off a drop, it's very important to steal it onto a separate hotkey. So you need to use control group stealing. You can say I'm stealing it off number 2 onto number 1. And then select your main army hotkey and reaffirm that hotkey. So control 2 for me. Control 2, control 2. Now, why is it important to do that? It's important because if I don't do that, let me show you if I don't reaffirm the hotkey. Even if I steal the Medivac away, once I unload it... Oh, sorry guys, it's bugging. Let me... Fucking map. I don't know what's going on with it. Here we go. So if I tell a drop, I can steal that drop to a different hotkey. Oh, sorry, my mechanical habit just kicked in, and I reaffirmed the hotkey out of habit. That's how well trained I am, guys. I'm so good at StarCraft. Even when I'm trying to show you how to do it wrong, I do it right. Let me try one last time. I'll get it, I promise. So, load up, steal, tell to drop. And because I've forgotten to go control 2 again, oh look, as these Marines pop out of here, they're still on my main army hotkey. So I could drop them in a mineral line, tell them to kill workers, and then I'll accidentally command them to rejoin my army because they're still in the same hotkey. So it's so important. Whenever you split off a drop, like I was saying, guys, you need to load it up, tell it to drop, put it on, steal it onto a separate hotkey, but then you also need to control group your own hotkey to make sure it remembers it's over there. If you don't know about control group stealing, check out the link down below, or just YouTube control group stealing. You really should know about this mechanic at this stage of StarCraft 2. I've talked about it so many times before, and it really is absolutely essential. So guys, these are the most important points. We can also just very quickly talk about stutter step, as this is something else. So let's just tell those units to attack, and let's just talk about stutter step. Move, shoot, move, shoot, move, shoot, move, shoot, move, shoot. Really useful, right? Super useful. So what am I doing? I'm going right click. So what we do is A move, right click, 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 A move, right click. And you can do that very quickly. Bonus points if you actually target fire. Let's try it one more time. I'm no Beyond. Oh, we're gonna get killed. Bonus points if you target fire, but like you can see, it's really not necessary. I'm solidly GM with Terran finally after hanging in top master for a long time, and I very barely bother focus firing on banelings. Most of the time, it's just move, shoot, and you don't really want to let them get that close in the first place. I love when I give you guys terrible examples of micro. Alright, so that's the end of the micro section. Alright, that is all for now, guys. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Don't forget to hug a watermelon, kick a walrus, and of course, punch a garden gnome in the gonads. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye and good night.